Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video, and today I'll be doing, probably you can tell from the look here and the title and thumbnail, I'll be doing a build tutorial video, little build guide on the RoboCat 270 kit from GearBest.com. They sent it to me, and now that includes the frame, the flight controller, motors, ESCs, and propellers. All you need to add is your battery, receiver, and radio. So let's just start off here. The frame is kind of complex, and I found that I did a test build. I built all the frame, just the frame together, and I found that it was missing. I felt that it was missing a few things, so I had to make a couple adjustments. Some of the pieces didn't fit the best, but I'll go over that later when I get to those. So let's just start off first. What we're going to do is assemble the arms, and now obviously it comes with 4 arms. It would be nice to see a 5th spare, but at the price these are coming in, the price this whole kit's coming in at, that's pretty nice, and they are real carbon arms. They are 3 millimeters thick, and they have no burring on any of the holes. Pretty nice carbon. See, it'll focus. It's not focusing, but there it goes. You can see there's not really any burring on the holes, just a tiny bit. Those marks are from the screws since I've already applied it, but everything looks pretty good. Couple scratches on it, but looks pretty nice carbon. So for the first step, what we're going to need is an arm. We're going to need a motor. Obviously, it comes with the motors. And we are also going to need, where's the, right here, an ESC. So I'm going to assemble the arms first. So let me clear everything away, and then I'll show you how to put the arm together and solder the things together. So I'll be right back. Okay, here we are. As you can see, I'm over here to solder. I have my motor that comes with its stock. It's a Mars Power 2204 2300 kV. Looks pretty nice. Feels pretty good from what I've been seeing. I have my arm, the included screw hardware that comes with it, and the ESC that I'm going to be using. So first of all, let's take these screws out of the bag. And now you're not going to be using this little thing. That's if you needed to put it on a different type of mounting. But for this, the arm, it can just bolt straight. It can bolt, if I can show it. I can't get the, man, it'll bolt straight on. Where's the hole? Jeez. Right there. I was out of shot, but you can see it'll bolt straight on. Now it comes with long and short screws in this bag, but since we're going through the 3 millimeter arm, we're going to have to be using the long. As you can see, they don't even protrude that much through, so they won't be in the motor too much, and it also comes with a short one. And interestingly enough, they are Phillips head screws. They're not hex, so I'm not really sure why of that. So let's first, you want to get the wires obviously pointing this way down along the arm, and then just put one screw in. There we go, finally. Alright, so let's just get that in the rest of the way, and the screw just fits in like that, and then we'll take another one and do the opposite one, and don't tighten them down too much because you're going to be taking these back out. Man, really hard to get these screws in there. Like I said, just enough to get a little tighter. Okay, and we have 2 more. Well, actually just 1 more to do. Now that we have the other ones in. Last one goes in pretty easily. And these at least do have a nice wide mounting base, so they won't pull through the arms, which is a benefit. And now that we have that, as you can see, I've lined up the bearing and center C-clip in the middle of the hole there. So that's all lined up. So now we're going to take our last screw, and we're going to take some Loctite, because you do need to Loctite these, and this is blue Loctite from Hobby King. Make sure you get blue wherever you get it from. So let's take my screw, get it on the screwdriver. I'm going to actually switch to a larger screwdriver, see if that helps. I've got a larger one here, so let's just put a drop on there. See, you don't need a lot, just a little drop there on it. And let's put it in the arm. And then screw it in. And with this one, don't do it all the way tight yet, because you're going to tighten them down together. Now take out the diagonal one, opposite from it, and do the same thing with Loctite there. A little bit of Loctite, and screw it back in, and then do another one. Loctite. Go. One more. Okay. And the last one. So now you want to get this one pretty tight. Just tighten down good. I mean, you're just threading into the motor, so you don't want to be that tight, but and do diagonal, and then just tighten them all down. Give them a good twist. A little harder with a Phillips wrench, or rather than an Allen key. But there we go. As you can see, I have the motor mounted, and it is right in the center of it. That lined up very well. And I have the wires coming straight out, and there's actually pretty good protection around the motor, the arm size, so that's pretty nice. You can see how it looks pretty good. So now we're going to move on to mounting our ESC. And I'm going to mount them on the arm because these are 2204 motors, and these are only 12 amp ESCs that came with the kit. So that's kind of low amp ESCs for these type of motors, and I am only running it on a 3S because they only take 3S. But still, these do fit in the body. They actually fit in the body quite well. I noticed that. However, I want these. I don't want to burn up. Want them to burn up, and these motors might pull a little bit too much for them. So I'm going to put them right on the arms under the propellers to try and get the maximum cooling. So I'll be right back. I have to recharge my camera. It's almost dead, and then I'll show you how to cut and solder your ESC, and then I'll zip tie it to the arm. So I'll be right back. Okay, here we are back again. As you can see, once again, the motor, the Loctite has now dried on the screws, or the thread locker, and it does, the screws, the arm is thick enough to keep these screws from going through the bottom and touching the poles, so that is nice, so it's safe there. And here we have an ESC, and this is how it comes. Stock here, you can see you have that, and you have all this heat shrink over it, but for the way I'm going to do this, for this build, to make it cleaner, and a lot of people do this, is basically, here I have another ESC, and what I've done is all I did was remove that black heat shrink. So basically I just took the heat shrink off, so you can see there. And now this will let me direct solder it to the to get rid of all these wires on the ESC and just direct solder it straight to the motor from the motor wires. And now you can, this is also popular, you can just solder these wires together and then put the ESC on here and bunch everything up and, you know, zip tie it down, but I don't really like that. That's extra weight, and it's just not how I'm going to do it. However, it is a little bit easier. You have to be careful when doing this, and one thing I don't like about these ESCs is they're not just 1, 2, 3 pads in the front. They're kind of a 1, 2, 3, so they have to make the motor wires different lengths. So let me do that. I need to cut the motor wires here, so this one, and now one thing you want to pay attention to is you can see this prop spinner on this motor is silver, but one on the other ones is black, and that means this is a counterclockwise spinning motor, and it you can see it twists off right, it's backwards because these are threaded self-locking nuts. So this has to be a either front right or a back left motor or an arm, and this has to be an either front left or back right motor. So make sure you do that right. And for the front right, for the silver caps, when you solder onto your ESCs, you want to make sure that you go directly 1-to-1 straight across, so a straight wiring. let's see if I can, because you see they kind of come out in order here of 1, 2, and 3. Get that there. And so they do the same. I can get this. They do the same on the ESC, so they're 1 to 1 there. And so for the silver ones, you want to do those straight across, 1 to 1. However, for the black ones, you want them to spin opposite. So all you have to do is cross any 2 wires. So basically, just take one of these, any motor wire, and swap it. So you can see I've now crossed one, and then just solder it on like that. You can see I crossed 1 wire there, and then that'll make it spin the other way, so that's what you have to do. But on these silver ones, you have to do it straight. So I'm going to cut these, and you have to be aware of these mounting holes here. You don't want to hit the frame with your ESC, so you have to have, in this big green thing here, you have to make sure it's pretty far back, say about that far at least from the body there. So that's not much room to work with, why direct soldering to the ESC is going to be harder than just bundling everything up. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to cut the wires now to the right length on the motor. But first of all, let me actually take the wires off the ESC because they're just getting in the way. So give me 1 second, my soldering iron's heating up. Okay, here we have it. Get my iron, let me clean it real quick. Okay, there we go. So now let's take these off, see them in shot. Just apply heat to the solder, and I should melt that wire right off. Let me turn up the heat on my iron just a little bit. Turn the heat up. And also, let me tin my iron just a little bit, which should help melt more. So there we go, got some flux on that. And be aware when you're soldering you don't want to breathe in the fumes. There we go, that one's melting. Not the highest quality solder they use, that's why it's taken a while to melt. There we go. Okay, so now let's put my iron back in, and it goes. Okay, here we are back in. Sorry about that. I actually forgot which numbers the wires went on in terms of being straight. So the first wire on the right is the middle. Here's another ESC: middle, back, front. So looking at my motor, so this is gonna be the medium length wire, the long wire, and the short wire. It's kind of confusing. I really wish the pads were straight, which is making this direct solder method harder, and it's definitely a lot harder on video. So middle, I'm gonna want it to come to, let's see if I'm putting that there, come to right about where my fingers are. There we go, cut that. And then the back, the farthest one, gonna want to put it just about here. So I only have to cut a little bit off there. And then for the shortest front one, it's gonna be about there. There we go, cut those off. So you can see I have my wires here. You can see I have my medium, long, and short ones. So now I'm going to strip those. I'm going to do that off camera because that's pretty fiddly. These wires are too small, but they are silicone, so I'll get those with a razor blade. So I'll be right back once I strip them. Okay, here we are back again. As you can see, I've stripped the wires as well as I tinned them, which is adding solder to them. So now let's take my iron here. Let me clean it quick. Just tin the iron a little bit so it helps the solder flow. And now we're going to take this, and the first wire on the left is going to go to the middle pad. Now this is pretty fiddly, especially with didn't get it. Especially with the ESCs like this. I really don't like how they don't go straight across the front, but There's one. Now let's take the longest one back. Let me zoom in just a little bit here to show you if it'll focus. It's not really focusing. Let me see if I think I have to zoom out and focus and then go back in. No? Yeah, it doesn't like that. Alright, right there's focus anyway, so let's take our big one. I'll try and keep my fingers at a shot. I'll stick it against the pad and I'll apply heat. And it should melt right on there. Like that. There we go. Now we have our last one, which is probably going to be the hardest since the other wires are kind of in the way. So let's do it like that. And there we go. It looks like I got it pretty well there. Zoom back out. So now we have our wires started on an ESC, and I should have enough room for these to go through here, and if not, I can always push this back just a little bit because these bunching wires can bunch up just a little bit. But now one thing I'm going to do, and since I said this is a silver one, you want to wire it directly straight across, but for another motor such as a black one, which is that, you're going to have to reverse two wires. So just switch any two wires. So say you could switch the medium and the short one. Just switch the wires to the different pads, and that'll give you the clockwise direction, because straight wiring is counterclockwise. So now what I'm also going to do is, you can't obviously just leave your ESC like this against the arm. It'll short out since carbon is conductive. So I'm going to take heat shrink, and now this is the biggest heat shrink I have, and it's also black. Pretty much the same thing they used, except now that I have my motor wired on, it's okay, and I can put it back on. And direct soldering just makes your build a lot cleaner and saves some weight. So let's slide this on, and whoops, I forgot to cut a piece of it. That's stupid of me. Okay, so how big do I want this? It's probably, put it all the way back or out to here. So 1 second while I cut that. Okay, here we are back again now. I've cut the piece of heat shrink, so let me put everything back through. Wires, and then it slides just over the ESC. It's the perfect fit. And let's slide it back, and I'm going to put it all the way back to pretty much the motors and just coming out, covering that. You can see there. So now I'm going to take my hot air gun. You can see here my hot air gun, and I'm just going to blast it with some 200-degree air. Let's see here, let me zoom in again so you can see it shrinking. See there, it's shrinking down to the ESC around the wires. There we go. Now let's get the back side of it. A little bit hard to do on camera, and with the motor on there, but there that goes. Shrinking nicely. Let's hit the top again. So there we go. Let's zoom back out. So now, as you can see, we have our first ESC mounted on here. And now, if you want to attach it, oops, I gotta zoom out more. I guess that's all the way zoomed out. To attach it to the arms to hold it down, because that's obviously not just going to stay there. I mean, it probably would, but I'm going to use a zip tie. I'm not going to do that on camera just because I want to get it just the right length, or the right spot on there, because you don't want to crush anything, but a zip tie will hold that down. And the black blends in pretty well, but as you can see, there's our first motor You can see we have the motor attached and the ESC installed, so that's how you do your first one. So do another one exactly like that with your other silver. So you have 2 clockwise motors which go in the front right and the back left, and then do your other 2, except like I've been saying, you have to switch 2 wires. So instead of straight wiring it to the ESC, just switch 2 wires over like that, connect them, and then it'll spin the other way, and that's your front left and back right. So I'm not going to show those obviously because this is getting to be quite long already. I did one, that's good enough. I'll come back once I've done all of them, and then we'll continue with the build. This is probably going to be in a couple videos, by the way, a couple parts. I think the first part will be doing your ESCs and arms like this, and then I'll do other parts with the rest of the frame, but I'll be right back once I have the rest of the arms done. Okay, here we are back again. As you can see, I have all 4 arms, motors, and ESCs put together, and the 2 black ones are the wires where I crossed them. So the far left I put to the back, then the next one to the middle, and all the way right to the front. And these ones I just did straight, which coming out would be far left to the middle, then the middle to the back, and this one to the right. So these ones should spin counterclockwise with the silver caps. These ones and the black ones should spin clockwise. And if you're looking at it in the way of the frame, say up here is the front, should arrange it. It should look like that with the motors right there, in terms of this is the front and this is the back. And now let's go to the next step, which is wiring all this up to the power distribution board I got and putting the rest of the frame together. So let's go do that. Okay, here we are. As you can see, I have everything laid out here. I have my arms all wired up with the motors and ESCs. So now what we're going to do is start to attach them to the frame. And this is the main bottom plate of the frame. So what you're going to do, this part up here is the front. And to help you remember that, they come with, these help attach the upper canopy, the yellow part. These are 2 aluminum things. And so you take the smaller one, and the holes line up on here. And you take, there are 2 types of screws. I can show this. There is a long one. There's a long one and a short one, and you want to use the short ones right now for putting this piece on here. Actually, it's the smaller one, so let me do that. Okay, as you can see there, I now have this piece on. That's the front. So we're going to take our arms, and this one up here is because it's a silver, this is going to go in the front right. Since this one's going to spin, I think it's counterclockwise. And you take the screws, you take the longer ones, like I said, I showed you the longer ones. You put one through, and the plate goes on the bottom, whoops. So you put it through the plate, and then you put the arm over the plate. And then you also take these little black aluminum spacers that come with it, and you just hand tighten that down over there. And then put another one in to hold the arm on steady. You can see there. And now there's also these really long ones, which comes with a couple of these, and these are for, you put them up through that third and, where is it? You put it through the third and final hole right there, and then you put another pillar, one of these black pillars, on it, and you just thread it all the way down through. You have to thread it all the way through. Okay, as you can see there, you now have that, and then your wires can fit through the pillars there. So that's that part. So now I'm going to do the rest of them. Okay, there we go. As you can see, I've now done that, and I have all the arms attached with that 3-pillar mounting system. I actually quite like that. And then the next plate later on in the build goes on like, or no, that's not the next plate. Whoops, this one is, and then that goes on through those long screws and sits on top of the pillars, tightens everything down, but gives you ample space in between the plates, which I quite like that design there. And now the next part I'm not going to be able to do right now in this video, partly because I'm doing this in parts, because this is going to be part 1 because it's already too long, and also the power distribution board that it comes with is this one. However, if you put this, move the wires, to fit this in here, it has to go in there somewhere like that. However, there are pieces right here, these ones, and if you put those in the frame, like I'm going to, like that, because they kind of make these little walls, it doesn't fit in there. So it's really weird how they send this with it, because it's basically worthless because you can't use it for this build. So I do have a separate power distribution board, a Maytech PDB coming in. So that's where I'll pick up with the next video. So that was part 1. Stay tuned for the rest. The rest of the build videos, I'll be covering it. So that was the video. Please subscribe if you aren't already, and I'll leave a link to check out my unboxing of all the parts with a link to the bundle down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.